So you've taken a look at the standards for, let me close this out. You have looked at the standards for EC through 6 with art, and I want for you to take a look at the standards for EC through 12. It's going to be very many of the same concepts, much of the same knowledge. It's just going to go deeper and expand past, what you had looked at before. So standard 1, the art teacher understands how ideas for creating art are developed and organized from the perception of self, others, and natural and human-made environments. So one standard, but within that standard, there's a lot there that is knowledge-based skills and concepts. So what I want for you to do is a deep sort of reading of this. And that means that you're reading these things for understanding and you're putting them in your own words. So find a way to say what standard 1 is mostly about after you looked through all of it. When you look through all of those standards, you can, and we'll take a look at it right now. We'll look at it. And then we're going to see how the state or the test maker combines or structures these standards in the exam and what exact weight each one carries, because that you need to study in like a smart way, right? So those sections that carry a lot of weight for the exam, you need to make sure that you know those really well and that you've done a thorough investigation of the standards and that you're familiar with those concepts. So if you see a concept that you're unfamiliar with, and when I was going through the TEKS, I saw many art concepts that I did not know that that's what they were called. I didn't know them. And so you'll be doing those with your students. This first one that we read, standard 1, the art teacher understands how ideas for creating art are developed from their own reality. Let's see if that's what it's about. I'm thinking that's what it is, nature, and what they see and how they feel about themselves, You have the left-hand column. And this left-hand column is what you need to know, all of the knowledge, facts, concepts, just, everything you need to know on this side. And then on this side, it is what can you do with this knowledge? What can you do with your students, your application in the classroom? Okay. So 1.1K is how perception is developed through observations, prior knowledge, beliefs, cognitive process, and multisensory experiences. So this knowledge that you have, or that you should have, it needs to translate to the art teacher assisting students in learning to deepen and expand their ability to perceive. So giving them opportunities where they have to look at things from a different perspective and sort of push themselves in that way, or be reflective, to perceive and reflect on the environment. So this is how you translate it into the do. Now for the exam, you're going to see a lot of the right-hand side. They're not just going to be knowledge-based, define what texture is, or which of the following is the best definition for texture. You're never going to get those types of questions, right? It's going to be something about maybe the students were having difficulty with texture and you creating or choosing the best activity that would help them understand, what adding texture to a drawing or a painting would look like. So it's
I got a lot of
doing
questions.
something. You got what?
I got a lot of questions like that, maybe 20 questions.
Right. And so did you send me your scores?
I don't think you got it.
No. Do you have them? Do you have them on your computer?
I think I have it in my email.
Okay, well, let me pause really quickly. That way we can see where you need the most help. And that would be this is something that you would do in your classroom with your students. So in order to help a student with a particular exam or a particular concept, you have to see it first. What are their weak areas? I mean, we could go through the entire thing and that takes too long. You do know a lot of stuff. It'll be easier for me to help you as an instructor if I see what your weaknesses are. So I'm going to pause the video so that we can go take a look at your scores, and then we'll come back and we'll know where we need to like focus on.
Okay, let me see.
And
if I
I'm
can
also
find
going to
it.
stop my share because I'm going to resume. So you have your standards and you also have your TEKS. So we are going to go to not fine arts. Where is it? I mean, maybe it is fine arts. Let me see. Okay, it is. So you're going to have to go one by one. I thought they had compiled it in one document. They did it for some content areas, so apparently they didn't do it for this. So begin. Part of your studying is going to be reading through your TEKS. Now, when you read through TEKS or when you do a deep reading of anything, you're not trying to memorize this stuff. That's not the purpose of it. I would have a notebook or note cards. Like I like to take notes and put like when I'm reading something and it stands out to me so I can go back and take a look at it. But what it does neurologically when you're engaging with a document, it will resonate more if you're writing it down, if you are putting things in your own words, if you are summarizing the content that's in this paragraph down. Don't write this whole paragraph down, but just summarize that content and it helps you understand it more and solidify that knowledge in your brain. And you do need to know, for the purposes of the exam, sort of have a good hold or understanding of the different grade levels, the kindergarten, first grade, second, third, fourth, fifth, and the goals of those different areas, the new skills and concepts, and the goal, keeping in mind the goal that the state has, and we'll read through it right now. But so I would, if I were you, get a notebook. Now on your, like, unless you're at a elementary campus and you're the art teacher at an elementary campus, you're not really going to have to know or use, not know, you need to know them, but you won't have to use the other TEKS all the time, depending on like what age group and where you're at. You could be at a junior high, and then you will have 6th through 8th grade, right? Those are the grades TEKS that you will become an expert in because you'll be doing those TEKS. Each one of them will be at some point an objective in one of your lessons because the students must complete those TEKS, right? It's the law that they learn those things at that grade level, regardless of disability. So even if they have a learning disability or other disability, they are still required to perform on grade level and learn and master these skills, knowledge and skills that they've outlined for us. So like I said, go through each one of these, and you want to take detailed notes. And you don't have to note everything. That's not things of importance, and you'll be able to ascertain what's important. Like, and I don't want for you to rewrite them over again, but when you're looking through the TEKS, I need for you to make sure that if there's anything that you are unfamiliar with, a concept, a skill, there's nothing wrong with that. All you have to do is look it up. And Pinterest is a really great resource for every art teacher that there ever was, because every art teacher has a Pinterest and they put their artwork up there. It's just really cool. And I've just seen so many cool things from art teachers. So let's take a look at this introduction, because this is the introduction for kindergarten. And since your content area is EC through 12, you're going to have to go through all of them. You're going to have to go through, 6, 7, 8, all of them. And even the high school courses, right, that are going to be even, I think, more particular. And we'll take a look at some of those. You have to be knowledgeable. Actually, let's go there real quick. This is 5. Let's just jump on over to
Do you
high
have to
school.
do the elementary too?
Yes, you have to do
Like from
elementary,
1 to
junior
12?
high, every single one of them. And so
Okay.
here's art level 4. And so there are different things in this class that you have to know and the students have to learn from you, right? All of these things you must know, and you must be able to teach them, right? To instruct them, to give them critiques and constructive criticism and feedback that helps them master some of these skills. So we just jumped really quickly all the way. And look, you have to, general requirements, students may fulfill fine arts and elective requirements for graduation by successfully completing one or more of the following art courses. Art, what is this? For drawing, painting, printmaking. So there's even these other ones, which is, I don't even know. Are they down here or? I wonder where those other ones are. Let's go back to the elementary, because you're gonna have to do junior high too. So we'll do one from the elementary out. We'll take a look at the beginning part for one in junior high, and then one in high school. So the fine arts incorporate the study of dance, music, theater, and visual arts to offer unique experiences and empower students to explore realities, relationships, and ideas. These disciplines engage and motivate all students through active learning, critical thinking, and innovative problem solving. The fine arts development cognitive function. The fine arts develop cognitive function. And that's really true. Like including the fine arts and using that creative aspect does something different to the brain. It helps in that cognitive function. Maybe it's like a lubricant for the neurological pathways. I don't know, but it is a magic of sorts. So anytime, even a teacher that is a math teacher, content, regular content area, English, history, science, including the fine arts whenever possible, will always benefit the students cognitively and academically. The fine arts develop cognitive functioning and increase student academic achievement, higher order thinking, communication, and collaboration skills, making the fine arts applicable to college readiness, career opportunities, workplace environments, social skills, and everyday life. Students develop aesthetic and cultural awareness through exploration, leading to creative expression. Creativity encouraged through the study of fine arts is essential to nurture the whole development of a child, which is why Texas has a fine arts program. It's important. 4 basic strands, foundations. And so whenever they give you these on my thing, I would write 4 basic strands. And it's possible and probable that those strands are going to be constant throughout all of the art, but they're just going to be different sort of knowledge, facts, and skills under the different strands. So 4, and let me get my highlighter out really quickly. 4 basic strands, foundations, observation and perception, creativity, history, and cultural relevance, and critical evaluation and response. That seems like more. Okay, 4 basic strands, which are the foundations. Observation and perception. And we already read that a little bit, right? How they had to sort of perceive. That's what one of your, if we go back, that was one of yours, right? Perception, getting the students to be able to perceive and reflect on the environment. So you're going to see that your standards and the student TEKS throughout, there's a lot of overlap, a lot of overlap, because what you need to know and what you need to be able to do in the classroom is on purpose, and it's supposed to support their goals in their TEKS, right? Their grade level TEKS. So let's go back to the TEKS. We have those 1, 2, 3, 4. Provide broad unifying structures for organizing the knowledge and skills students are expected to acquire. So under those canopies in the TEKS, there's going to be a section in the 1st grade where you have TEKS for observation and perception, where you're growing in those skills. In 7th grade, they're going to have knowledge and skills that are going to be under the same observation and perception, creative expression, but different things, and with more challenge, more rigor based on the student's grade level, based on their cognitive abilities, based on their physical abilities, maturation, right? So we wouldn't, there's some things that we would do with a high school art class that you wouldn't do with kindergartners. Their abilities are not there. And maybe it would be something where like the artist was a little bit mature for their area. I mean, there's lots of things to consider when you're creating, but we're still going to give them opportunities to observe and perceive. It's just going to be on their level. And we're going to continue to build so that we achieve, you know, this whole development of the child, because we're giving that constant, effective, engaging fine arts development. And the kids really love their specials. In elementary, it's called specials. So they either go to art, and my girls are artists. Like if you can see in my room, there's like artwork everywhere. My workspace is like with paint everywhere. So the girls really love, but they also really like going to their choir class or their music class. They really don't like PE. That's not a fun special for them. Like they really don't like it. They're not athletic. They're I don't know why. Anyway, I do know why. I'm not athletic. I'm not super athletic. Okay, so each strand is of equal value. Each one of these strands, very, very important, and may be presented in any order throughout the year. Students, so we don't really just work on one. We're just going to do this. We sort of like layer it in there, right? We're going to do creative expression, but we're also going to look at examples. We're going to observe, we're going to perceive, we're going to talk about our perceptions, where they come from. Students rely on personal observations and perceptions, which are developed through increasing visual literacy. So teaching them to look for these things, right? So I told you that if you did a picture or a sculpture every day with your class in the beginning of the year, you're not going to have a lot of like student feedback, because they don't have the appropriate knowledge and the words and the practice with that visual literacy, right? I'm just going to answer the phone really quickly and then. Hi, Miss Castillo. I'm so sorry. I'm giving a session right now. Actually, you can log on. It's office hours. Okay. It ends at 11. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your patience. Bye-bye. So giving them opportunities to make that visual literacy, to learn how to read art, right? Like what if you're looking at a sculpture, even looking at my daughter just recently for GT, which really upsets me because they do these really fantastic projects with the GT students. And I feel like it's a project that every student would benefit from. And it's like that incorporation. And I'm going to get off topic. Anyway, she did a GT project and it was the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And it was very cool or whatever. And it was very hard to make it lean and also not fall. But we looked at a lot of pictures and we talked about the history of it and how the guy that built it, he was really upset, like that it was built under his whatever king or dictator, and I believe it was possibly Mussolini. It was Mussolini, it was a dictator. We was like ashamed, and we talked about like, why would he be ashamed of it and angry? She's like, well, because buildings aren't supposed to lean, like I mean, it's like a structure, and it doesn't even. She's like, it doesn't even look nice. Like it's not aesthetically pleasing to us. That it's like there's something off center. It's not. And so talking about things in those terms with the students, with any given like project or assignment, so that they're always getting that practice with observation, that historical and cultural relevance, you know what I mean? Like, and he got really mad, and it's sort of hilarious that was built under his, under his watch, because he was a terrible person. And apparently his architects were not super savvy either. It's still up, but researchers say that it's going to fall at some point. Sensitivity to surrounding communities, memories, imaginings and real life experiences as sources for thinking about, planning, and creating original artwork. And that's important. Sensitivities to surroundings, communities, their own memories are a resource for art. Like, and as an English teacher for a long, long time, 16 years in the classroom, whenever we would start and the kids were new to me in the school year, many times they would say, look, I can't think of anything to brainstorm on when there was a topic and they had to like think of something in a theme, but you have to practice the way that you think about things. And someone has to tell you your life experiences are resources. Everything you've experienced, your memories, when you were sad, when you were happy, something that made you laugh, people, new experiences, learning about a new culture can make someone, be enthralled with the colors and the lines, and that becomes something that inspires their own work. And so the way that life and the world around us all help with our thinking about art and what other artists were thinking when they were writing, planning for our own art and creating original artwork. Because a lot of times the students feel like they're limited. And I'm like, you come with so many resources, all of your knowledge for every day that you lived. You're in the 7th grade. I know you have had some experiences up in there. And so I have to show them how I think about my writing. And so I will brainstorm for them and model how I think, like show them exactly what I'm thinking about and go like, I'm going to choose something like a funny story, memory, and like a sad. And both of those are going to be a time that I learned about myself, and the different ways. And I write them down, just different memories, some of them are funny, some of them are sad. And the kids also have those experiences. They just don't realize that they're rich with resources. And so getting them to see that, and then also developing their competency and the way in which they can speak about these ideas, because they have so much art and experience in the world. They just don't have the words with which to identify. And okay, let's see. Students communicate their thoughts and ideas with innovation and creativity. So that's always going to be a goal in any of your scenarios. If you see an answer choice where the teacher is having them be innovative or think outside the box to achieve, the goal, that's going to be the more appropriate choice, because they tell you which is the most appropriate, project, or which is the most appropriate assignment for Miss Carrillo to, assign for her students. And there's more than one appropriate response. If they say most appropriate, one is better based on the details they gave you. What grade level is it? What age group? Because one is going to be more appropriate than the other based on the details within any scenario that they give you, which is why it's really important for you to be familiar with what they are responsible for by grade level, so that when you read it and you say, oh, Miss Carrillo's 3rd grade art class is working on blah, 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 whatever they're, what was one of the major 4 strands? Creative instruction, expression assignment. And so this is 3rd grade. Well, there's particular things in 3rd grade that they have to do, learn, and achieve for creative expression. You should be familiar with that. Do you have to have it memorized? No, but in general, you should be able to say, this is how 3rd grade differs from kindergarten. Kindergarten mostly does this. We focus on these things. And in 3rd grade, we mostly do this and focus on this. And so the only way you can do that is by doing a slow, mindful, critical read of your TEKS, and either do like that big note card and do one per grade level, and just like the overarching, they're all going to have the 4 basic strands: the observation and perception, creative expression, historical and cultural relevance. And create those, that was wrong. So it was foundations and perceptions, creative expression, historical and cultural relevance. And then the 4th one is, critical evaluation and response. So it's observation, this one, that one, and that one. Yeah. So through art, students challenge their imagination. They challenge even their perceptions, their feelings. If they've only thought one way and seen it one way, art makes you sort of see things in a different way, allows the lines of and the sort of rigidness of society to blur a little bit so we can read between the lines. It fosters critical thinking, collaborate with others, and it helps you collaborate. You have to, you know, like my daughter, again, going back, I always use examples with my children, but we were doing this art project, but it was for GT, and it had to research. She had to, you know, she was like, she could be a tour guide at the Leaning Tower, because she, you know, researched it, and we looked at pictures. I mean, we tried several different things. We had major like fails where we couldn't get after we made the structure lean, we couldn't get the clay to like stick on it because we used cardboard. And so clay doesn't stick to cardboard. And so what do we have to do? We had to get Mod Podge and super texture it, like make these little ridges in it. And then we could so we had to problem solve. And so it's literally like all of these things. We had to critical think, and because I'm a teacher, I don't take over. Like I really let her sort of investigate those things, because that's what they're for. Those assignments are for. Definitely had to collaborate together. Her little sister helped build reflective skills for them to think about what I could have done better. How could I have done it a little bit different? And certainly you do that afterwards, even if it looks amazing. That, like, we are our worst critics most of the time. And so, but sort of using that thought process instead of being all judgy toward yourself, sort of reflective skills. What could I honestly have done better as far as like execution of the image that I had in my head? While exercising meaningful problem-solving skills, students develop the lifelong ability to make informed judgments. And that's what we want them to do, become better people, better humans. And so we've read through the beginning part, and it's going to remain pretty much the same. We'll look at foundations is observation and perception. This is one of the strands. And within it, there's not a whole bunch. Look how little art is for kindergarten. We're not trying to get them to like learn all these challenging things. What do we know about kindergarten students? They don't yet, not all of them have like the best hand-eye coordination. Scissors are sometimes a problem still in kindergarten with some people. So you're not going to be doing a whole bunch of like multi-step. I mean, you're going to lose the kids, like if it's challenging and they're unable to, and get frustrations, which lead to classroom management issues. So let's take a look. Foundations and observations. The students, kindergarten students, develop and expand visual literacy and using critical thinking, imagination, and the senses to observe, explore the world by learning about, understanding, and applying the elements of art, principles of design, and expressive quality. So those are things that they should be working on. Elements of art, like using the colors appropriately, principles of design, that is appropriate for kindergartners, and expressive qualities. The student uses what the student sees, knows, and has experienced as a source for examining and understanding and creating artworks. The student is expected to do these things: gather information from subjects in the environment using the senses. So like what things certain colors are, what shape certain thing is. The clock is a circle. The clock is a circle. So like finding things and finding shapes and colors and lines within the world. You can even take them, which would be great and an excellent activity, but take them on I always used to take my kids on mini field trips, because as a teacher, I was in the building like from 6:45 or 7 o'clock, because I had tutoring at 7:15, until like after school. I also had tutoring at PSJ North. And so it was like until 4:30 I left, and I was there since early in the morning. Sometimes I want to leave the room too, and not just to go to the, you know, copy room or some, you know, I want to get out and see nature. So sometimes I would take them outside and read. Sometimes we would go and like just perceive the world and observe, and I would have them write things down. And so like if they saw an ant hill that was like busted and the ants were working really hard, some of them might write about that day. But we're going and outside on these mini field trips to use our imagination, critical thinking, even critiquing something. I mean, there was lots of things that we did. And by going out and that breaks up the monotony of the classroom and then allows them to see how they can use really anything to write about. And for your purposes, not necessarily writing, but they can use any observation to create ideas and think about it artistically. So let's see, identify the elements of art, including line, shape, color, texture, and form, and the principles of design, including repetition, patterns, balance in the environment. So not too much, because the next one is creative expression, and that already is a totally different strand, right? So there was only 2 things that the students really work on, understanding like lines. And I remember when my daughters were in kindergarten, one was in kindergarten last year. She's a 1st grader this year. And she would come home with like different like lines and crisscross patterns and say, these are both lines, but they're in opposite directions. And so just different things that she would come home with, like painting with sponges, but doing it in a pattern. You know, I know that they came home with something like that for Christmas, and it was like a Christmas tree and then like a Christmas bell. Like, and then, so she did a pattern, every line did a different pattern. So talking about repetition, talking about patterns, with creative expression, which is another strand. So not too much for observation and perception. Begin to know how to gather information, how to make observations and gather observations from your surroundings, and learn and identify line, shape, color, texture, form, principles of design, including repetition, pattern, and balance. So in the environment and using real life in the environment, not so much putting up like an artwork, a piece of art, and having them like, let's look for balance in this painting. Like kindergartners are not there. We need to like start with the basics, and for sure, utilizing your surroundings is a really great thing. I mean, like a really important and great thing to do with your students. Like I said, to break up the monotony and to get them to understand that all of their observations, everything that they see, they can use in their own artwork, right? And even understanding other people's artwork. So for creative expression, which is a different strand, and so we hear the 3rd one, you'll see it's like if this was a meal, and this is for the whole year, they must learn and be able to do these things before they leave you. For kindergarten, it's not a lot. You should see some of the math teaks, holy shnikes. You should see some of the, like, even you'll see it on yours. You will see some of yours that are going to be just really, there's a lot there that they have to do and know. But this is the beginning part, us setting the stage for the students to even like art. You know, not everyone is naturally gifted. Some people are more artistic. There's different intelligences that people have. There's people who are more logical, mathematical, and they just, math is like a game, like a puzzle, like their brain works that way. And there's art people. And so I am not a person who is naturally good at art. I took art class. I like art. I have to apply myself, but I am sometimes very not good. My daughter is a phenomenal artist. The stuff that she does just makes me want to weep. I don't know. And so she's really, really good at art. And but making it, I luckily, I guess, had amazing art teachers that incorporated such fun activities and bolstered my confidence artistically in different ways, that even though I'm the worst drawer on the planet and my students would laugh at my drawings for like definitions, I still like art. So building their strengths wherever they come. Not everyone's going to be good at every single skill, but getting them to engage and learn proper form and still want to participate is important. So for kindergarten, that's mostly what we're doing, and teaching them, beginning to lay down the language for art, right? Talking about line, talking about shapes, talking about texture, color. So go back and do this. So for creative expression, the student communicates ideas through original artwork using a variety of media with appropriate skills. The student expresses thoughts and ideas creatively while challenging the imagination, fostering reflective thinking, and developing discipline, effort, and progressive problem solving. So already beginning with the problem solving in kindergarten. Create artworks using a variety of lines. So I told you my daughter came back with some line stuff, and she was like telling me like, this is what part of it, and these are lines, and they meet at a center or point. Let me see. Creating artworks using a variety of lines, shapes, colors, textures, and forms. Arrange components intuitively to create artwork. So intuitively is like on their own, using their own intuition. So not always scripting things and having them do it in like a prescribed way, a more like organic, intuitive, creative artworks. Use a variety of materials to develop manipulative skills while engaging in opportunities for exploration through drawing, painting, printmaking, constructing artworks, sculpting, and modeled forms. So you have to have a really basic knowledge of these types of art and like the terms that we use to talk about these, and respect for traditions. Oh wait, no, this is a different one. What am I doing? I jumped down. Use a variety of materials, so different materials, and they do printmaking in kindergarten. It's easy enough to have them do that. And if you looked at the video that I posted for Art EC through 6, you'll see that I went to Pinterest, and let me just type it in here, because I didn't think I did printmaking in high school. Oh, it's one word. Never mind. Why did I do that? Oh, but this is how we did it. This one here, like it was a lithograph, a linograph, linoleum. We carved it, and that was so cool because we got these little tools here, and I thought they were the coolest. They looked so old and just busted, but I thought we were like very cool. And so I thought, man, that's really hard for someone who's in kindergarten. I can't imagine that we would do that with kindergartners. Like, what the heck? There are different types. I'm not an expert in printmaking, so there are other kinds of printmaking. So I'm going to go to Pinterest, so we could just look it up there and see all of the amazing teachers on Pinterest idea. Oh, I love this. So print. So for kids, obviously, art ideas, but there are lots of objects, and this is a really great one. Like, have them bring something home and see what they can use to make. I mean, it's not exactly a print. There are other printed ways you can do that. Where's the one? Scratch foam is one of them, but there's another one we saw. Lego is one. Where's the one I was looking for? Oh, this one also, the one where they like put the string and then they paint over it with the string on, and then they put another paper, paint over it with the string on. Lots of different ways they can do printmaking when they're little. That will get them ready to understand, oh, I kind of did this. I'm looking one for, oh, here's one too. No, that's not it. Printmaking using cardboard. I like this one. Oh, that's right. Printmaking using those little like puffy stickers. You can just get like a block of wood and have them, do something like this here. on the, or even on the cardboard, put those stickers, and then they paint it on. And there's a lot of actual language that you use, and there's like the empty space and the negative space once you get to like the upper levels, right, that they have to discuss, but that's not there for certainly you can discuss some of these ideas and concepts about how the image is made because there is an empty space, and begin, but you wouldn't, you know, go super into detail. Oh, here's the one, the cardboard one, but you can also do that with those spongy stickers, which is really you know, sort of easy. Where was another one? Oh, this one here with the wooden block and the yarn around it. A lot of gluing onto wood to make an image, and then to use that as a print. Let me see. There was a different one I had seen and I don't remember. Oh, I love these. I love it when the kids make these. And so, and another way to talk about, like, this is a type of art, right? And what makes it funny, what makes it pleasurable is be a good conversation about symmetry and about how, you know, they're fun and funny because they don't really make sense, like the eyes over here and the this, you know, but it works. And so having those discussions with your students. Express ideas. Oh, wait, I think I skipped over cultural relevance. So historical and cultural relevance, the student demonstrates an understanding of art history and culture by analyzing artistic styles, historical periods, and a variety of cultures. So I believe that this is going to be expected throughout, right? But that there's going to be different requirements underneath in specifics. So identify simple subjects expressed in artwork. Share ideas about personal experiences such as families, friends, and develop an awareness and sensitivity to differing experiences and opinions. Differing experiences and opinions through artwork. So sensitivities to differing opinions. Identify the uses of art in everyday life. Important for them to talk about like art all the time. Like, what did you, like, tell me if you saw art or a type of art, you know, and have them be looking for it when they're at home. And so when they come to you, they're like, I'm going to tell you the art that I saw, you know, when I wasn't, because they don't see you every day if you're in elementary. So relate visual art concepts with other disciplines like engineering and, I mean, even some poetry, you know, there's some poems where like the poem itself makes like an image, like, and so it's art within art. Now art is poetry in a form. So relating visual art to other disciplines whenever possible. The art of a building, sculptures, a church, you know, critical evaluation and response. So the student responds to and analyzes artworks of self and others, contributing to the development of lifelong skills of making informed judgments and reasoned evaluations. Kindergartners are expected to express ideas about personal artworks or portfolios. So you have to give them practice to talk and express their ideas about their personal work and or portfolios. Express ideas found in collections such as real or virtual art museums. So you should be taking them to real or virtual art museums. And for the purposes of reality, it's going to be the virtual art museums, you know, galleries, portfolios, exhibitions using original artworks created by artists or peers. So even doing an artwork after you guys do a couple of pieces, you have them, you know, I love going to the girls' school or going to any elementary and walking past the art teacher's room, because they are so much, like, kids are so amazing, the stuff that they do. The last campus that I was on, where was I at? It was so beautiful, and I forgot to take a picture of them before I left. I was going to, but the artwork was amazing. So having them do, you know, like have a little like, oh, we're going to have a gallery of our own artwork, and we're going to go around and give everyone, you know, positive feedback and or critiques about, and I don't know, talk to each other utilizing that language. Maybe not as kindergartners, but certainly by the third grade, they should be able to do and even as kindergartners, I think they can handle it. Compile collections of artwork, such as physical artwork, electronic images, sketchbooks, or portfolios for the purposes of self-evaluation and exhibition. So compile collections of their physical artwork or their electronic images or other images or sketches, because we want to have them like reflect, self-evaluate, look at it and say, oh, I like this one. The only downside is the mom who loves the artwork doesn't get it back as fast. You know what I mean? Like doesn't get to put that on her wall, because she has to wait till the teacher takes it out of the portfolio and sends it home. But it really is more beneficial to the student to be able to say, oh, I like this art that I did from the beginning of the year. It was so pretty. And I'll show you something just like, different art, that has come home with my children, because like I have 5 children. So this is, I believe, my daughter, she's a senior now. And so this was one of her artworks. Let me see, it has her name on here somewhere. Yeah, it is. It's Zoe's. So my senior, this was hers. And I don't think I got it back until later because it was like posted on the thing. But if you keep it there and they can look at it, it allows them to reflect on and to self-evaluate, and not necessarily keep it all year, but like for the whole 6 weeks. And then at the end of the 6 weeks, they look at their portfolio. They might have 5 or 6 pieces. They can choose one out and say like, my favorite one and the one that I think that I can do better, like what I could change about one, like one that I wasn't my favorite. I don't want to say didn't like, because I'm like, you should love everything that you do. I mean, I know that it's difficult to say that, especially to an artist, because they're never happy with their stuff. It's just, and I'll be happy with it, but because I'm not a true artist. So I'm like, that looks good. But you want them to really reflect on their work, right? So have them gather these things. These are Zara's, and they're from a 6 weeks. And so she could look at it and say which one she likes better and which one she had the more fun with, and this one with the squares, because I got to utilize different ones and they weren't in a straight line. Getting them to reflect and think about it. Begin thinking about their work and in conjunction with the things that you've told them, right? Like, or taught them about lines, about balance, about spacing. And so they might have more different things and different feelings about their artwork at the end of the 6 weeks. So good to keep it in a little portfolio. Not good, you're supposed to. It's one of the teaks, right? You have to keep a portfolio. It doesn't say how long. Typically, I think it's about 6 weeks. And for my girls, it's actually, they do 9-week sections. So it's 9 weeks of stuff, and then they'll send stuff home. So, but yeah, they reflect on what they like, what they don't like, how they could do things better. So that was kindergarten. Let's take a look really quickly at 5th grade. So again, same introduction, because the goal is always the same. The goal is to build students who developed lifelong ability to think critically, to make informed adjustments, to exercise meaningful problem solving skills. Like, that's the goal all throughout. And so utilizing art to help to that end, to build and nurture, develop the whole student. So again, it not so much, but a little bit more. So here you have, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm just going to sort of highlight them just for our eye. You have foundations, observation, perception, creative expression, history and cultural relevance, and critical evaluation and response. So you can and should be doing multiple teaks every day, right? Achieving multiple objectives, right? In my lesson, not only are we going to create something, we're going to look at the historical background of the thing that we're imitating, right? And we're going to evaluate and discuss those things based on our observations and utilizing our knowledge of art, right, that we learn. And so we will be doing many things on a daily basis. Oops. Okay, so you have same here. The student develops and expands visual literacy, literacy skills using critical thinking, imagination. I'm just going to clear all these drawings. I can't move things on my screen unless that thing is cleared away, and it's just irritating to me. So, the students develops and expands visual literacy skills using critical thinking, imagination, and the senses to observe and explore the world by learning about, understanding, and applying the elements of art, principles of design, and expressive qualities. The student uses what the student sees, knows, and has experienced as sources for examining, understanding, and creating artworks. The student is expected to, and so this section, not super big still, but again, we're building on and going deeper into some of those foundational things. Develop and communicate ideas drawn from life experiences about self, peers, family, school, or community, and from the imagination as sources for original works of art. So from their life experiences and the people around them, community, otherwise, and also from their imagination. We want them to be creative. Use appropriate vocabulary when discussing the elements of art, including line, shape. So there's more that have been added. And so if they need to know what that appropriate word means, and you know what it means when you can tell someone else what it means, when you can define it for someone else. And if you can't do that, then you should take the time to do it once, write it down in your notes, or maybe even give, examples of it. Discuss the elements of art as building blocks and principles of design as organizers of works of art. So discuss the elements of art as building blocks and the principles of design as organizers of works of art. So that is the way in which we need to get them to understand, right? To understand that we have elements of art, which is one thing, and we have principles of design, which organizes what we think about when we think about elements of art, right? Into works of art. So discussing and having the students understand that in 5th grade. In creative expression, the student communicates ideas through original artwork. You'll see that there's more here: producing drawings, paintings, prints, sculptures, including modeled forms and other art forms such as ceramics, fiber art, constructions, digital art media, photographic imagery using a variety of materials. So like I said, I have some of them around here. I don't have them right now. Oh, here. Like, I think this was one of my sons, and he's not like naturally an artist or whatever. And so this was one of his clay when, he was in the 5th grade. I'm not even sure what it is. I like it and I still have it. He's now a freshman in high school, but he's like, Mom, why do you even keep these? I'm like, because you made it for me. What do you mean? He's like, it's not even good. What is it even? I'm like, I love it. It's a pencil.
It's really cute.
Like, it's a pencil holder. He's like, you always make my things into things they are not, because they're not ever anything. Meanwhile, my daughter will come and she'll sculpt some ridiculous something. Like, she'll do something phenomenal, like ridiculous. She's done amazing sculpture. So everybody's different, but everyone's going to get to try and play and do in that stuff. The thing about Noah and what is that I don't think that they did a super good job. Yeah, Noah P. I knew it was Noah's. This is a lack of planning. This is, you got it together and I don't know what you were doing, but like, Zoe comes from a place of planning. She's like, oh, I want to make elephants out of paper mache. But this was my senior daughter. She made me these elephants out of paper mache. It's her and I.
Oh, wow.
Can you see them?
Yeah.
Okay. But she's a planner, and I think that if you come to the art and the students get better at the planning side of it, then the execution of the actual, whatever it is that they're doing, fiber art or digital art. And I had to look at what some of these meant. And as you go into some of the higher grade levels, you too will have to maybe look up some of these types of art that the students have to learn about and do. Do you have any questions for me so far?
No.
No? Okay. Let's take a look at a junior high. Not junior high yet. Let's do, so this is middle school 1, junior high 1, which is like 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. Sort of silly that they, so I guess the reason why they do this is because you can take art for the first time in 8th grade, but you're in a lower enrolled in the first year of art, may select middle school 1. The fine arts, again, the whole spielio, right? The whole introduction, same thing, same 4 strands that we are going to be focusing on and building their knowledge underneath, all so that they can challenge imagination, foster critical thinking, collaborate with others, and build reflective skills. Remember, this is the goal for them. Understanding what the goal the state has for the students will help you identify the correct answer choices, with some of those, which is most appropriate, because you'll know, okay, this one makes them collaborate with others. It also is having them use their imagination, and then they reflect. It has to be this one. This is like the goal for them. So here are foundations, a little bit more lengthy, right? The one for kindergarten was super short. This one's a bit more. And this is art 1. Types of things they must do. Must produce artworks, drawings, paintings, prints, sculptures, modeled forms, ceramics, fiber art, photographic imagery, digital art and media using a variety of materials. So, look at what they have to know in historical and cultural relevance. Identify examples of art that convey universal themes such as beliefs, cultural narrative, life cycles, the passage of time, identity, conflict, cooperation. So like ideas and themes that are spoken from a piece of art and getting them to sort of see it in that way. In art 1, they have to explore career and vocational opportunities in art, such as various design, music, and art fields, something that they must learn about. And that means you have to know about it too, right? Think opportunities that they can have. Develop a portfolio. Understand and demonstrate proper exhibition etiquette. So like how to properly behave when you're in an art exhibition. What is the appropriate modus operandi for you when you're in a room? I don't think I hear people think that when you're at an art exhibition, because so many people are talking about art, that people are like whispering to each other in front of the pieces of art. Not like, I'm a very loud talker, so I would have to be mindful of myself that I'm not like screaming my opinions and making it loud to where everyone can't hear. So that is art 1. Let's jump to art 4, and we see same introduction, same 4 strands, foundations of observation and perception, still building on that. We want the student to use what they see, what they know, what they've experienced as sources for examining other art, understanding other art, and creating original artworks. That's the goal for us. And we want for them to apply the elements of art, the principles of design, and expressive qualities. So good line, good coloring, but also is there balance, is there symmetry? Unless that particular art doesn't call for that. If the principle of design is for the face to be all chueco and weird with one eye bigger than the other, then that changes things a little bit. But standard, principles of design, they have to do and become competent and literate in all of these listed here. They must understand understanding of copyright and public domain to use appropriate imagery. You can't just like a photo of a drawing that somebody has and then make a print and hang it up when that person sells their work. It's not yours, you stole it, and having it in your house because you took a picture of it and printing it, that is stealing. That person, unless they make prints and give permission, then it's not ours to take. It's, there is a public domain of imagery, like if you take your own picture, cool, but not of another image. Image of an image, sort of copyright gets tricky. To appropriate imagery when working from sources rather than direct observation or imagination. So I can recreate it from my direct observation. Create experimental artwork using installation, performance, or collaboration. So you have to do something with your art to experimental artwork a little bit. And I see a lot of experimental artwork coming out of New York City, and like there's not a whole bunch in the Valley or in San Antonio. One moment, please. Hi, Mr. Thomas. I'm actually on a session right now. Can I call you back when it's over? Sure, absolutely. Bye-bye. Okay, so that's something different. And so these are the things, you see how there's like a lot of the repetition where it's like the same stuff, where, evaluating elements of art, including line, shape, color, texture, form. We've been doing that since kindergarten, right? And fundamentals of art and personal artworks using the vocabulary that's appropriate. We're still wanting them to do that, but we've added more stuff to it. And so that addition and that nuance that makes it a little bit more challenging for the student, you should take note of in your notes. So the fact that in art 2, they have to do an installation or a performance or a, collaboration of sorts, whatever that means. I know they do a lot of really cool installations at the junior high that I worked at, and the ceiling and the stairway allowed for just really cool stuff that they were able to work out together. But it would have been cool to see a performance or collaboration. Okay, so analyze ways in which global, contemporary, historical, and political issues have influenced art. So in what ways is art not just something that's really pretty? And so the class before, we actually wanted them to think about how different art sends a message, right? Like how you could get the idea of like pain in a painting, or like sadness or loss, or, that hunger can be captured in a picture, So having them known that the year before, you can now discuss ways in which global, contemporary, historical, and political issues have influenced art, how a lot of times art is an outlet for many of the hurts and or pains or difficulties of society. So of course, there's going to be a reflection of it. Analyze cultural ideas expressed in artworks relating to social, political, and environmental themes, such as environment, nature, conflict, power, relationships to other, reality versus fantasy, evaluate, sort of kind of silly, but, anime is a very popular type of art, right? And I had a student one, and that's because anime is much more popular now as far as socially, globally. than it was when I was teaching at Garcia, and it was still kind of popular then. Netflix wasn't as big. You still could order like DVDs to your house and stuff. And so it wasn't as filled with anime. And I had a couple of students who were really into anime, and they were amazing anime artists. And one of them said that their dad thought that it was like a silly form of art, and because it was Asian, like had like this like negative connotation with it, because he felt like, well, they're communists or something like, but that not understanding, and that it's connected to a whole culture, and that it does, there are so many, like there's drama, there's horror anime, there's all this other stuff. It's like a real legitimate form of art, appreciable, something that can be appreciated and valued. And so talking about those ideas, those sort of misunderstandings or ignorances of people who are maybe not in the cultural know, and getting the students to look up those things and to think about and analyze stuff with that lens, how people have different perspectives of art just based on their experiences. And if they haven't been around it that much because it's not all over Netflix, or it's just they're unfamiliar, then they can't appreciate it as much yet. Evaluate the relationship that exists among society's art, music, theater, and dance, which there's a really undeniable correlation. Like the set on any theater like stage, or on any stage really, is art, right? The symmetry, even the way in which you're gonna like set up a concert and the types of images you want throwing it back there, like that's art. It's a different type of art than what we traditionally think about, but it certainly is a type of art. The dancing, the choreography, the background, again, the what is it? Uniform, the outfits, their costumes, all of it art. So compare and contrast career and avocational opportunities in art, such as design, museum, and fine art. So like getting them to think about art, not just as a fun form of expression, but actually as a viable career choice where people make a lot of money via their artistic abilities. Critical evaluation and response, create written and oral responses about personal or collaborative artworks, addressing purpose, technique, organization, judgment, and personal expression. So they must do this in art too. They have to not just pontificate about it or talk about it. They actually have to create a written response and an oral response about their work, reflecting in particular about purpose, technique, their organization, personal expression, and judgment. Investigate and explore original artworks in a variety of venues outside of the classroom, such as museums, galleries, community art, and understand and demonstrate proper exhibition etiquette. So that is, if they take art every year, 7th grade art, and this is art 3. So you can only take this if you've taken art 6th grade, 7th grade, and you're doing it again. So here are those, and you'll see, again, it's the same 4 strands. For creative expression, they have to create artworks expressing themes found through direct observation, original sources, personal experience, including memory, identity, and imagination, and the community. Apply the art making process to solve problems and generate design solutions. So you have to create an opportunity for students in the art making process to solve problems and design solutions. Printmaking is a really, really good activity for this problem solving, because anybody who does printing the first time is going to slather and not be mindful of, like, I know I was many times ad nauseum, super annoying, because go through all the wato and getting the paint on there. And if you get the paint in the recessive spaces, then you've ruined your image in the printmaking process, right? It's going to be smudged and you're not going to have that outline. So it took a work in progress and problem solving for us to like really figure out. Some people went with a paintbrush, but then it dries. Some of it dries if you do that. If you're mindful with your thing, and there's a whole technique to it, but provide opportunities for them to sort of like get in a sticky, messy situation where things aren't really working, and they have to creatively construct a solution to whatever issue artistically they're having. Like, none of my images are coming out because my print keeps on smudging. Well, you're putting too much paint on your roller beforehand. So I had a whole system. I'd get the thing and then I'd take it off on a piece of paper, like, roll it on a piece of paper, and then I roll it on the linograph. And so there wasn't that much on there, and I wasn't so heavy handed. Then my prints came out better. I actually still have my print here. It needs to be reframed because the glass broke when we moved, but I still have mine. And I only made 4. It was such a problematic process. And so 4 came out, and that was the one that I have. So you have the different things that they have to do. Again, create that written and oral response. They have to do that year again. Analyze original artworks and portfolios using method of critique, such as describing the artwork, analyzing the way it is organized, interpreting the art's intention, and evaluating the success of the artwork. So in investigating or exploring those things, or analyzing original artworks, they have to look at it in under a critical lens and sort of defend their, like, what was the intended purpose? Like, my son cannot still defend the intended purpose of this. Like, this was evaluating the success of the artwork, interpreting the author's intention. There is no intention in this. He doesn't even know what he made. Cabron. But I like it still because he made it the way that it's organized, but having them reflect about their artwork in that way to see, like, well, because you didn't plan, that's why the author's intention can't be seen, because you didn't do good with the planning section. You just kind of played with the stuff, which is what I'm assuming he did. So next we have high school, and you have your different levels of art here. Same 4 basic strands. So same sort of goal for observation and perception. We're going to expand again on that visual literacy, and we're going to use critical thinking, imagination, and the senses to observe and explore the world by learning about, understanding, and applying the elements of art, all of the ones that they should know very, very, very well by now: line and color and texture, principles of design, and their expressive qualities. Student uses what they see, knows, and has experienced as sources for examining, understanding, and creating original artwork. That's the goal. To use what they've learned, what they know, what they see, to create and understand other artworks. So consider concepts and ideas from direct observation, original source, experiences, and imagination for original artwork. Identify and understand the elements of art, those ones that we've discussed before. Identify and understand the principles of design, including emphasis, repetition pattern, movement rhythm, contrast variety, balance, proportion, and unity in personal artwork. And make judgments about expressive properties such as content, meaning, message, and metaphor of artwork using vocabulary accurately. So freshman art, or art 1, right, in high school is a little bit of the same, but certainly it's going to be a higher level of dialogue with your students. These are freshmen in high school. And so yes, you're going to be talking about line, shape, color, texture, just like you went over with kindergartners, or where you would introduce, but you were certainly going to be talking about it and analyzing different artwork than you would with your kindergartners. Visual solutions to create original artwork by problem solving through direct observation, original sources, experiences, narrations, imaginations. Communicate a variety of applications for design solutions. Use an understanding of copyright and public domain to appropriate imagery constituting the main focal point of an original artwork. So, like, appropriating an image in a way that does not violate copyright infringement and creating an original artwork. Create original artwork to communicate thoughts, feelings, ideas, expressions. Collaborate to create original works of art and demonstrate effective use of art media and tools in drawing, painting, printmaking, sculpting, ceramics, fiber art, design, digital art, and media. So for art one, we're going to be art history, culture by analyzing artistic styles, historic periods, and a variety of cultures. We're going to continue to build on that global awareness and respect for the traditions and contributions of different cultures artistically. So compare and contrast historical and contemporary styles, identifying themes and trends, describe general characteristics in artwork from a variety of cultures, which might include personal identity and heritage. So like, for me, Frida and her artwork is like she was a very important like artist. When I was younger, my grandma, when she spoke of her more as like a trailblazer, and like an advocate and obviously a painter. But there's like a familial connection to Frida's artwork and also like a historical, cultural connection and a reverence. And I just love her painting. I mean, I have like 2 things of like all her artwork, but there's so much pain in some of her art. It's just devastating. And she always wanted children, and some of her paintings that specifically show like her organs or like the baby miscarriages. It's just beautiful and tragic. So getting them to think about stuff like that, collaborating on community-based art projects. So getting them involved or able to be involved in things like that. Or you know, organizing something like that together. And there are a lot of classes, artists that are doing murals in Uvalde because of the shooting and to commemorate like in a beautiful, positive way, the lives that were lost in Uvalde. And they're beautiful, but it's, again, tragic beauty. And I know a lot of art schools, even at the university level, were sending people out there to work on projects. For the purpose was healing, right? To commemorate the lives of the beautiful people that were lost as a healing process. So that was something that actually a student I was talking to did recently. Compare and contrast career, again, vocational opportunities in art. And this is, again, the critical evaluation response. So you've been having these same strands the whole time, and we're just getting better and more like rigorous with it, right? Now in high school, they have to interpret, evaluate, and justify artistic decisions in artwork by them for themselves and peers and other artists, such as museums, local galleries, art exhibits, websites. Evaluate and analyze artwork using a verbal or written method of critique, such as describing the artwork, analyzing the way that it's organized, interpreting the artist's intention. And so really like analyzing, and I love it when art teachers will come to me and say, I'm going to have the students analyze and I want them to write like coherent essays, you know? And so I would give her ideas on how she could have them, you know, organize their critiques. Like if you're writing a paper on the way in which a piece of art is organized, then that's your thesis statement, and everything you're talking about is in that way. Or are you trying to interpret the author's intentions, and if they accurately or like spot on got it, or if they weren't successful in their goals. So giving them ideas on how to organize their ideas in a coherent critique. Really good art teachers always make their students write an essay if they're a high school, you know, or certainly if you're doing like Art 4 or something like that, because you don't want to just be able to speak about these things. You want to be able to write coherently, critiquing these things at the most able part of our art instruction. I want for you to be able to lay it out for me in this, written critique of the art, sort of articulate those ideas. Construct a physical or electronic portfolio, evaluating, analyzing personal artworks, being way more mindful. We might give them a rubric to use, which would be better. Like, how was I on this? And have them, always leave a space for them to write something that they can improve on. You want them to always be thinking about their thinking, about their comprehension, and about their progress. So always ask them, what would you have done differently? Did you like the way that it came out? What's one thing you would change or do differently? So you want them to reflect on their process, reflect on their progress, and, and on the success of it. Let's look at the highest level before we go. Was that the highest level? Oh, I think that was the highest level. Develop evaluative criteria to justify artistic decisions and artwork, such as in museums. Oh, so they have to develop criteria to evaluate it. So they're coming up with the rubric, like what would make this, good art, evaluate and analyze artwork using a method of critique, the ones that we spoke about, analyze personal artwork in order to create a written response, such as an artist's statement reflecting intent, inspiration, the elements of art, principles of design within the artwork, and measure of uniqueness. So again, reflecting on their artwork, but this is in a more structured way, having them do that extension of language and write it down in an artist statement. Use responses to artwork critiques to make decisions about future directions and personal work. So this is something that I would do with my students if we were going to do a gallery walk. And anytime we did anything that was artistic, and I did a lot of art in my class, a lot. We did paintings. I mean, they did sculptures with one of the 6-word memoir project that I did with my students every year always came with an accompanying piece of artwork. And the art teachers always really liked it, helping the students with their 6-word memoir projects. But you want them to respond to each other, to critique. So I would take them on a gallery art walk. If we had our stuff on display, let's walk around and we're going to write stuff down and make judgments on things. And you can put a sticky note and write critiques down on each of them, and then have the student collect it and read that feedback. It's a useful tool. Is everyone going to be super happy with the commentary? No, but that is an opportunity that, like, sometimes you will get feedback that maybe you don't even agree with. Like maybe I did a painting and somebody says, I wouldn't have put the lady you painted in a yellow dress, like just yellow makes her look like a banana, and yellow's my favorite color. So maybe it's just a preference, and that feedback isn't something that I could, maybe if my audience doesn't dig yellow, I should change the dress color, even though it is my favorite color, because it blends in with their skin and now you can't see her. So in that way, like getting to think about their work. And so even if you don't agree with it, sort of talking about it and trying to see, and if not, you can stick with the yellow dress, but maybe it makes sense because her pale skin sort of they blend in together. So getting them to accept critiquing and taking the students and giving them opportunities to critique and discuss and just enjoy each other's artwork. Art is meant to be enjoyed. It's not just like, make this art, turn it in, let's assess. Make this art, turn it in, let's assess. Like getting to enjoy and think about and maybe even revisit pieces. Would be a cool thing to do a painting in the beginning of the year and have them keep it there all year and see if they want to add to it or make any changes, make a revision on their composition. And if they don't, then they can write their artist statement reflecting like why, this was really purposefully planned, and I think I executed it really well, and this is why. And then you have to do that. But for some people like me, I'll be like, oh yeah, for sure, I don't like the way that tree looks anymore. Like, I want to go over the trees and the flowers, like with bolder colors and more flowers. So I might want to add to it. And that's the nature of art, is that it's I mean, at some point it's finished if the artist is gone. But while you're here, there's always room for improvement and better, and nothing is sort of final, and we can always work on it to make it better. And I think I sort of like that about art, that even if you kind of screwed up in the beginning, there's a way to like turn it around somehow. And I like that about art, that problem solving. So what I want for you to do is to go through each of these detailed, and to create in English language arts, you annotate your text, and you want to sort of paraphrase or summarize what this one is mostly about. What are the main things that are different that they need to do? In some of the grade levels, they start doing more sort of like serious things, or thinking about more serious things, thinking about the way in which art can represent like sadness and things like war, or, you know, and so we don't start that off in kindergarten. Certainly we're not talking about all that. But you would certainly talk about political cartoons in the 7th grade, like how, and even maybe in the 5th grade, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was some about how, no, it wasn't. It was 7th grade, because in 6th grade, that was when we started thinking about how it's like ideas. I'm not really sure, but that is why you need to write it down and have it so that you know, okay, 5th grade this is where we start. And then we start thinking about it in this way, so we can start talking about these sort of things. At some point, you can introduce political cartoons and how they're both funny, and they also make a statement about like, you know, the world around us. I am going to send you a link so that you can get the do you have the EC through 12?
36. I have EC 36.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to send you the EC through 12, and I'm also going to send you the link to this here.
Okay.
And I'd like for you to work on annotating your standards, looking through the teaks. I'm going to put the link right here for you to just go in there and click it. Art teaks. I'm going to put some other stuff in there for you as well. And send you this link. I'm also going to upload our video to YouTube.